So welcome to the next talk. This is the third talk of the first session of the third day of the iRODS user group meeting 2020. This next talk is by Saskia van Eeuwijk from SURF.
Yes.
And she's going to talk about building a national research data management infrastructure in the Netherlands with iRODS. There you go.
Okay. Thank you. Well, good to be here and nice to talk to you all. And as Terrell introduced me, I'm Saskia van Eeuwijk. I work with SURF, and I'll explain a little bit later what SURF is. These are the subjects I want to talk to you about. I'll give you a short introduction of SURF, what we are doing, and I'll tell you afterwards why that is important. I also talk about why we want to build on this national RDM infrastructure. With the emphasis on national, and how did we start it, what are we working on, and how do we do that? So I'll start with a video of who we are, and I hope technique isn't...
SURF, that's us. More than 100 educational and research institutes in the Netherlands collaborate within the SURF cooperation to explore, develop, and use various digital opportunities to their full extent. Our aim: better and more flexible education and research. As such, students, scientists, lecturers and employees are able to learn, work and collaborate in a simple, safe and reliable way, whatever their device or location. They have access to the best software, cloud services and digital content with the most favourable conditions and at a competitive price. And researchers can use large-scale data and computation facilities like the National Supercomputer for groundbreaking research. For more than 30 years, we have been joining forces within SURF. As a result, the Netherlands has an internationally renowned digital infrastructure and state-of-the-art ICT services for high-level research and talent development. This way, we contribute to a strong and sustainable knowledge economy. Technology develops at a fast pace. This requires a timely view on the available technologies and the ability to assess them on their usefulness for education and research. How do we use them in a smart way? How do we deal with social and ethical concerns in this process? And how do we cope with the scarcity of expertise? At SURF, we aim for combined thought leadership and joint resources, so we can achieve results together, whereas individual organizations would never be able to reach as far. Together with users and companies, we experiment with new technologies, educational concepts, and various ways of collaboration. We stimulate knowledge sharing and knowledge exchange by means of community building, by publications, and via events. We act as both a centre for expertise and as a meeting hub. In short, we combine forces to get the best ICT services and innovations, aiming at better and more flexible education and research. SURF, driving innovation together.
So, why do we want to build on this national RDM infrastructure? Well, what you have seen in the video probably is that SURF is an organization that's working with all kinds of universities and other educational institutes in the Netherlands, and also research institute. So we are working a lot together, and we are trying to connect with them as much as we possibly can. I don't know what's happening, but my screen isn't working. So, and we are talking a lot to these people in these universities, and what we found is when we talked to them, we heard a lot of them say that they really thought that their researchers worked a lot together with other researchers, as you all know, and that they were used to supporting their researchers within the boundaries of their own universities, and that couldn't be the case anymore. So they were struggling to find ways to have researchers work together with other researchers in other institutions all over the world. And also what they said is, well, we are starting to support our researchers much more, and it costs a lot of money. So we think we need to be more cost efficient, and we have to work together with other ones to get the necessary infrastructure up and running and the services. And also it was realized that there needed to be something like a common infrastructure, because that could facilitate more use of all kinds of facilities in different locations. So we thought, we felt there was a good sound situation where we could benefit from working together. But somebody had to take the first step, and as service working for all these institutes, we thought, well, maybe we should take the first step. And they also said, we want to select these RDM tools, these research data management tools, and they had all kinds of questions. What are the costs? What kind of a team do I need to build? How much people do I need to support these tools? And they were, well, they were all a bit lacking, a bit, not all of them, but some of them were staying behind because they felt there were big decisions to take and they didn't want to do that. So we felt there was a great need for shared services and a shared infrastructure, and those things could be the answer. So what we also saw when they were looking at tools is that iRODS, of course, is very interesting to these universities for supporting their researchers. But some of the universities already got ahead and implemented iRODS and built a large pool of people that were working it and supporting their researchers. But there were a lot of universities that said, well, is this tool really suitable for me? Because it's a command line interface, and I know a lot of my researchers won't be able to work with that. So is iRODS really a good tool? And also in the Netherlands, we have YODA. YODA is from Utrecht. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. It has a graphical user interface and a lot of standard support. It all seems very interesting, but this is a custom built tool by the University of Utrecht, and I don't think I'll be able to use that in my university, because, well, you all might know that IT departments are a bit of well, not invented here syndrome is not uncommon to them. So these were questions they were asking themselves, are these tools that I want to go into? Also we detected what we call, is commonly known as a catch-22, that all these universities, they want to have the answers in advance for these tools, iRODS and YODA, and also many other tools. And they said, well, maybe if we can do something with shared services, then we might be able to use them. But if they're not saying, yes, really, we want to use these tools, and make a decision for that, from SURF being a central institution for offering these services, we couldn't offer them these services unless they said, well, we're really willing to pay for it and we really want to invest in it. So they didn't get any further, and neither did SURF. So we decided to try and find them into the collaboration. But how did we start that? So it started all out with these common interest in RDM tools and interest in iRODS and YODA. And what did we do? Well, within SURF, we started with a small group we started with talks with all of the universities in the Netherlands, 14 of them. And we said, well, do you want to talk with us and see what we can do and how we can collaborate in this with this idea? And 8 out of these 14 said, well, we are really interested and we'd like to talk. Then in one point, so we started talks. Then we started talking on how shall we do the cooperation, how can we do it? And then we came up with the idea of all participating universities starting small pilots with YODA and iRODS for these participating universities, and not just pilots for piloting the tools itself, but no, really piloting with research groups. So we had 8 universities conducting pilots. They all selected one or more research groups, and those research groups were from all kinds of universities, all kinds of backgrounds, and all kinds of what do we say, research subjects. So it was a very diverse group. And this group conducted with these pilots. So we had pilots running in 2019 with 14 research groups. And we already said at the beginning that there are going to be a joint evaluation at the end of the period. And this joint evaluation was carefully prepared with all kinds of standard questionnaires for the researchers, for the data managers that were supporting us, and for the IT people that were supporting us as well. So we had those 14 groups, and we had the evaluation, and we had a go afterwards. What came out of these joint evaluations is that the universities that participated were really beneficiary from this cooperation. They said, well, it didn't slow us down in any way. We could instead we could work at a very good pace. It meant that we had very little cost, and we had a lot of knowledge that we could share from each other, and we could learn from each other. So they really liked it. But also they said, well, if we're going to take the next step, we really need to work together on joint development. That's really necessary. The second thing that came out from this evaluation on these pilots is that every university said, well, we're not there yet from the decision-making point of view. We really need more intel on the suitability of these tools for our researchers. And we want to have more research areas involved, and we want to know more on the cost. So we really need to take this further, and we really need to take the next step. Also, they said, well, we still don't know if we really can make the choice if we want to do this. And especially with ICT and librarians that really need to be convinced. That was a thing. And as you all know, you can't say to researchers, well, you should use this tool. You really have to find your way with them to make them see all the benefits of that. So it's a slow process in the universities as well. And that needs, that's a change of behavior that you want to stimulate with your researchers. And that's one of the things that we felt very strongly, that iRODS is a great tool, Yoda is a great tool, but if you want researchers to make use of them, you really have to have them convince and show them what benefits it is. You can't tell them to do it. So yeah. So also with a cooperation like this, we really needed next steps to build this trust within the universities that this is the way to go forward, because it's quite new to give up your, let's say, your soul, that the thing that you can that you can really decide for yourself what you're going to do and what you take for as a tool, and that you go working together with others in with other universities. Give up a little bit of your independence in this. And so there was a lot of evidence needed for management as well. So what are we building? Well, it's no surprise we're building on top of iRODS. iRODS is the center part of our infrastructure, and we're building it with Yoda, but with also the other interfaces like the WebDAV and the MetaLinks and all the kinds of interfaces that you could have on iRODS. And with iRODS, we have connected all kinds of storage from SURF, but also in universities can connect their own storage within a virtual, within a few more months. Also, we are connecting the other services that we are working on at SURF, and that's the virtual research environments and the HPC, the high performance computing environments that we have at SURF. So we're building iRODS and Yoda infrastructure for these university, but also connecting it to other services that we have at SURF. That's the thing that we feel very strongly about. And what we deliver to our to the universities is a hosted environment of iRODS and Yoda. so they don't have to invest themselves in these environments. And we feel that's a very strong point, because they don't have to build a very strong iRODS and Yoda community at the moment, but they have time to start working on it in a very much more slow manner than they should have when they did it all themselves. Also, we build with Yoda. Like I said, I'll touch a little bit on Yoda. It was already talked about to you on Tuesday in the user conference as well. And Yoda is this software application that's very good for data management and for all types of researches. And that's what the thing that we've felt as well. Well, it has those things like data storage, sharing, annotation, etc. I'm not going to talk a little bit too much about Yoda, but still, for those of you who haven't seen Yoda, it is also in the user conference of 2016, where Tom Smeela did quite a extensive talk on Yoda as well. But for your information, these are the things that Yoda can do, and it really supports researchers in the various processes. So this is also why we are so enthusiastic about Yoda on top of iRODS, because it really opens it up to a larger group of researchers than if only you use the command line interface. Well, as we see in numbers, Yoda is at the moment, it's also shown by the guys from Utrecht on Tuesday, yeah. It has almost 4,000 users and over 650 terabytes of storage. So it's a really powerful tool in the Netherlands. So how do we do this? We have these, like I said, this hosted instance with storage at the service where we where we deliver the service, and we have users at the various institutions that work with it. And if they have any request or something that isn't working well, or they contact their own data steward or data manager at their own institution, and this data steward will contact the help desk at SURF. And SURF, we have, of course, you can have several things they can, like a service incident or a configuration request or something like that. And SURF is actually acting upon those requests immediately to the hosted instance, and we try and fix everything if it is possible. But sometimes we have feature requests, things that we need to change. And these feature requests are shared with the University of Utrecht, which is the developer of Yoda. And we combine all these feature requests, and we have regular talks with all the institutions that participate in these pilots. And then we prioritize it with a stakeholder group. And then we say, well, this is what we want to work on for the coming month, agile, of course. And then University of Utrecht develops all these things and makes new versions, and they put new releases into test. This works also for iRODS things, but in a slightly different way, but that's also how we tackle all kinds of iRODS things. So this is how we work together. So we've set up a very nice combined way of working with these different groups. Now, well, you might ask who these groups are. Well, these groups are a few universities that are, let's say, what we call more general universities. They have all types of research in them. That's the University of Amsterdam, the VU Erasmus University in Rotterdam, and the Leiden University. And we have two more technical universities, the University of Eindhoven and the University of Wageningen. And all these universities are working with us together, giving up their independence in these tools, but getting a lot of things in return, like cost efficiency, sharing knowledge, and sharing development capabilities as well. Well, what was the time frame? Well, the time frame, we started in 2019 with 14 research groups. We completed that by the end of 2019. And this year we started with the pilot groups in pre-production for Yoda and production of iRODS. And we are building on the knowledge for the needs and the services that we want to build. And then we hope by the end of 2021 that we have the knowledge we need on iRODS and Yoda, and that we are indeed can say that we have indeed a national infrastructure on research data management in the Netherlands, built on iRODS and on Yoda. So this is my talk.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions from the community? Let's see, we do have a comment from Mr. John Constable. He says he's slightly reeling at the idea of multiple IT departments trying to cooperate. He's having trouble with his own just one.
Well, I can tell you that is a thing, especially since we are working at the moment on trying to make these hosted instances working for sensitive data. So we have to collaborate with security people of the IT departments, which is even a more struggle. But what that's one of the advantages being SURF. They started a central group in the Netherlands with all the security people of the universities working together, and we've asked them to support us in this. So I'm working now with a group of 5 security people to come up with a solution for the security measures that we need to take and the universities need to take. So a central one to come up with that environment, and then we go back to the entire security officers meeting, and we hope to come up with solutions that every university can really use. So we're really trying here.
Yes, and we've got lots of requests from community members who are already kind of in the room with us, but as well as people who we talk to all the time who are not yet part of the iRODS community. They're very interested in how can they make their infrastructure, HIPAA compliant, GPDR compliant. How does that work, and what can we provide them? So anything that you write down, share, if communicate that in some way, then we would be happy to push that around and show it to other people as well. So.
Yeah, I really hope that we will be able to do that, because one of the things that we found out when we started the talks on this sensitive data thing is that many universities are very hesitant to share their demands. And that's one of the things that we came across. So that's why we took this road. So I really hope that they are willing to share this with others as well, but we're not sure yet. So I have my hopes, but I'm not sure.
That's right. Yeah, the commercial entities usually have already figured some of this out because they have to even just be in business. And yeah. Like you said, they see some of their policies actually being a competitive advantage, if not trade secret. So they are not willing to share them. So yes, anything that you can provide with that would be highly helpful for many people, I think.
Okay, yeah.
We do have a question from Chris Arlio. He says, in one of your slides, you mentioned a data pipeline. And the question is, what do you mean by data pipeline?
Oh, what I mean by data pipeline is that, well, for some instruments, you want to use iRODS to be able to get directly all the data from the instrument. So that's what we refer to as a data pipeline.
Very good. Ingrid, who spoke earlier from Leuven, she says she wants to know if all of the instances of iRODS and Yoda base configurations, are they the same, or are they different configurations for these tools at different institutions?
No, basically they're the same. The only thing they differ in is that they have their own logo and their own picture, so we can change that for every research group, even if they like. But that's where it differs. And well, we're struggling a little bit with the identity and access management things at the moment. That should be not really different, but we want to connect to their own identity, and so that's what we're looking into as well. Yeah.
Right. It makes people feel comfortable when they see their own their own institutions.
Yes.
With one thing.
Yeah.
Jason Koposki has a question. Did U2Connect have any influence or participation in this particular project or setup?
Well, we are working very closely together with Tom Smelen in this, and he's very big in U2Connect in iRODS in the Netherlands as well. So, and a lot of people that are working in U2Connect are also in some way connected to what we're doing here. So, yes, it is connected, but it's connected through people.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me stare at these for a second. I think we've covered the questions that have come through. We also have a comment about logos and branding are very important, but also metadata schemas. It turns out that people want their metadata to be consistent. So this is
well. There's one thing that's very interesting that we started working together, and there is already some kind of initiative to talk about metadata schemas from different from the same research from the same research area with different institutes, and they started talking on the metadata schemas they're using in Yoda and iRODS. And what we see is that talking on those metadata schemas is much more quicker if you have an actual schema that you use in an application than if you just talk about, well, how can we make it more compliant? So it speeds up things.
Absolutely. Running code and rough consensus, I think is how that works.
Yes. Yeah.